greatest superpower you have when you're young is time. And this idea of compounding, okay, when you're young and you're putting money away, and even think about it as skills, right? Compounding skills, compounding money, right? You have more time ahead of you. So you have more time for those to compound on each other with interest. So I would look at it compounding as like the eighth wonder of the world. Your money grows on top of itself year after year with interest. And if you're in the right safe investment vehicles, you will be able to accrue more and more money based on this idea of compounding. So that means even small, consistent investments today can become massive decades from now. Welcome back to the Calling Code with Mina Salib, where we learn from people who are driven by excellence and led by faith. Today, we're doing a solo show, and we're diving into financial discipline, especially in your early career years. So think about your 20s, and if you're in your early 30s, this, I believe, is really important to plan out for your future. These years are when habits are formed, especially financial habits and habits that will either build freedom for your life or potentially create unnecessary chains for you. Things that kind of lock you into to debt, things that you don't really want to get involved in, just overall bad habits, and things that will stop you from uh, really leading the life and having the experiences that you want. So in this conversation, we're going to just practically talk about faith grounded steps to build wealth, avoid financial traps, and set yourself up for a lifetime of what we hope to be financial health. So, first and foremost, I would like to start with what I think is foundational um, in anybody's financial health and the way that they financially plan, which is this idea of giving. So often, when people hear the word tithing, they think of it as a rule. They think about it as a command. And honestly, here's the truth. The truth is that giving is an opportunity and not an obligation. As a faith driven person, you don't look at it as this command, I must do this. Um, Everything you and I have been given, our health, our jobs, the breath in our lungs, it all comes from one source, it comes from God. He gave it to us willingly and freely. Um, and when we choose to give back, whether it's to our church, to a cause, or to someone in need, we're stepping into the same spirit of generosity, of giving that He showed us first. And that's why, you know, I encourage us, myself, um, to really first and foremost think about that kind of concept and let that shape everything that you plan financially. And the church teaches us that we should at least be giving 10% of what we're making. Not because, again, we're forced to, but because it's this blessing that we're able to, um, give back and um, be a part of other people's growth, other communities' growth, other churches' growth, right? Being a part of the body's growth. Um, and this idea of giving, it keeps your heart in the right place. It teaches gratitude, and it sets the tone for how you'll handle the rest, the other 90% that you've been giving. Um, Giving reminds us that money is not our master. It's just a tool, and it's there to be used in a way that amplifies your life and the life of others. Number two, I would say, especially in your 20s and 30s, you're not making probably the most income you'll ever be make. You're pretty early in your career, so I would say live below your means. Um, Living below your means, what does that mean? When your income starts, your job, your first job, maybe you get a raise. You went from making whatever a couple thousand annually, and then now you're making 50, 60, 100, whatever it might be, very early on. So the temptation is, you just go buy the nice car, you go more on more expensive dinners, and ultimately you kind of inflate your life much more than the income that's kind of coming in. And ultimately, this type of like an inflated life, this type of inflated lifestyle actually robs your future self, right? So the more money you spend now, the more money you don't save now, the more money that's not invested now, you're actually robbing your future self and the future ability, the future abilities that you're able to have. So what I would just kind of recommend is instead, uh, kind of commit yourself to a budget that keeps your needs around 30% of what's coming in your income. So whatever that might be, that could be rent for you, it could be utilities, food, transportation, um, whatever that is for you and your situation. I would say stick to that to ensure that you leave enough money left over for things that your future really needs, your future necessities, which are savings and investments and different things like that. But just staying disciplined here and really freeing yourself up from debt and potentially future stress. So the second thing is after you take care of your needs, you really want to think about the debts that you have, right? Especially a lot of us have student debts. We're dealing with those debts and how do we pay them off and when should we pay them off and all of that stuff. Um, so let's talk about debt. If you have student loans or credit cards, I don't think you should panic. I don't think it's weird. It's like everybody has that at this point. But what's important is you really got to make a plan, and you really want to tackle the highest interest debt first, right? So there's this idea, this concept called the debt avalanche method, where you're really tackling the highest interest debt first, getting that out of the way, because the highest interest debt are the most concerning parts of your financial portfolio, right? So if you're getting taxed essentially, 20, 30, 40% on debt, especially credit card debt that you can have, you want to knock that out first. And then the rung lower, where you have lower and lower rates that you want to get out of the way. So whatever your highest interest debt is, you want to get rid of that first and tackle that first. Along with debt, you want to think about an emergency fund. You don't really, especially in an economy like this, you don't really know what's happening with your job, how you're going to, if an emergency comes up, what are you going to do and how are you going to take care of it? Sometimes if you've spent everything, right, you've spent things on leisure and luxuries and whatever, an emergency comes up, how are you going to deal with it? So you want to really aim for a 3 to 6 month emergency fund where you put money aside to cover yourself for 3 to 6 months in hopefully in a high yield savings account. And you might be, okay, so what's a high yield savings account? So when I put money in a bank, just regular, you go to Chase, TD Bank, whatever, you're really earning no money if you put that in a savings account. You own you're earning 0.01% or 0.001% on your money. A high yield savings account offers you interest on the money you're putting away. So you want to find some sort of high yield savings account. You want to put that money away, and it allows you to access that money. So if an emergency comes up, whatever it might be, repairs, medical bills, even job loss, you have those funds that you can rely on, that will be able to support you in whatever emergency you have. All right. And so I think my favorite part of this is this idea of investing early. I really wish somebody told me to do this, when I was in my teens and in my 20s. And you don't really realize this until maybe get a little older, but the greatest superpower you have when you're young is time. And this idea of compounding, okay? When you're young and you're putting money away, and even you could think about it as skills, right? Compounding skills, compounding money, right? You have more time ahead of you. So you have more time for those to compound on each other with interest. So I would look at it compounding as like the eighth wonder of the world. Your money grows on top of itself year after year with interest. And if you're in the right safe investment vehicles, you will be able to accrue more and more money based on this idea of compounding. So that means even small, consistent investments today can become massive decades from now, right? So think about it. You can just be saving $10 to $20 a week, $50 a week. That comes out to 200. If you're saving $50, comes out to 200, potentially $250 a month. And where's that money going? It's going towards your future. So different investments that you want to consider. Again, it's not investment advice. This is just like, things that I really wish somebody told me earlier on is, one, Roth IRAs. Okay. So a Roth IRA is funded with after tax money. It grows tax free and you withdraw tax free in your retirement. So if you earn under, I believe the new threshold is about 165,000. You can contribute up to $7,000 a year. Okay, so the idea, if you're investing in something called the S&P 500, the stock market, this usually increases, has an annual increase of 10.5 annual return since I think like 1965. You'll be able to pull that money out in your retirement tax free. So other things that you want to look into: employer 401ks. If your job offers a match, definitely do that. That's probably the best investment that you can make. That's basically free money. They're basically matching money you're putting in. So when you open these types of vehicles, you want to be invested in very but safe assets, but historically productive assets, right? So again, just low cost, diversified, proven over time. These are assets you want to be invested in. So things like ETFs that invest in the overall market performance. Again, S&P 500, for example, has averaged 10.5% annual returns since 1965. So year over year, there could be dips. Sometimes it improves by 20%. Sometimes it improves by 15%. Sometimes there's a dip. Sometimes it only improves by 5%. On average, you can expect a 10.5 annual return from the overall market. So S&P 500, basically collective of the top 500 companies in the world at the time. Okay, so so some people ask me, okay, so how do I invest in the market? Okay, so you just look for ETFs and ticker symbols like Vanguard has one, VOO, different stuff like that. There are a bunch of different ones, but just kind of look it up and be able to make a decision for yourself based on your research. Again, not investment advice, just an easy way to, I believe, be safe while also making sure that you're putting your money to work and investing in your future. Okay, definitely things to avoid. Okay, I would say definitely in your 20s for sure. I would be avoiding unnecessary purchases like luxury cars. Okay. If you are a person just getting into the job market, financing a brand new luxury car with monthly payments that you probably can't afford is one of the fastest ways to trap yourself into debt. So remember, car is a depreciating asset. Okay. It's not returning 10% year over year. Okay. It's losing X% amount every single year. Okay. That you own the car. So it's a depreciating asset. It loses value the second you drive it actually off the lot. So what I would say is buy something that's reliable, not flashy. You could probably find a nice car. It's not going to destroy your income every single month. Okay. And what you're able to really save up. And then just to stick on like kind of like the car theme, just driving recklessly is probably the quickest way to also put yourself in more debt. Insurance premiums these days are absolutely crazy. Okay, repairing cars, especially nicer cars, is absolutely crazy. Legal fees, medical, all these stuff. So I would say that's probably another thing that you want to avoid. You can definitely avoid the way you drive. Maybe not everybody else drives, but I've just seen so many people just get into real kind of financial harm and debt because of avoidable things. So you might just want to think about that. And then something that I've kind of been like kind of shocked about by how it's really kind of plaguing our society is gambling. Gambling is quietly becoming one of the biggest taxes on young Americans, which is kind of weird to say, right? Like it used to be like, yeah, you want to put some money on a game, oh, it's gonna be fun or whatever. But the introduction of sports betting apps, online casinos, slot machines, all these different things, they are literally designed to take your money. That's what they're designed to do. There are really smart people that are paid to figure out algorithms and game theory to ensure that you stay on apps, you stay addicted, and you don't leave with more money than you're putting in. So the odds, honestly, they're really never in your favor, because even when you do well, most of the time you don't leave the app, you don't leave the quote unquote casino. Okay, so what really feels like entertainment is just fun can become a really destructive financial habit, right? Because ultimately, even if you're up, you never leave. So you kind of just give people your money. It's just another tax. It's kind of crazy that it's kind of even legal at this point. But I would say if you can probably avoid one thing now, it would probably be that. It would probably be that. Um, I just don't think it's worth it. I just I can definitely see it being fun. I can say, oh, okay, it's like thrilling. It gives you a thrill. I get it, but it's probably the quickest way to lose your money. And then I would say just overall, you want to again avoid kind of like financial traps, and you want to be setting goals. Okay, financial discipline isn't about depriving you of anything. It's just about having a direction. I would just say write down short-term goals. Right, you want to buy a car, you want to go on a nice trip, you want to buy. You're thinking about your future, your future wedding. Write down both short-term and long-term goals. One day you want to buy a house. You want financial freedom in the future. You want a great retirement. Write down goals, track your progress, track your wins, and avoid again the traps like chasing status. Doesn't really matter what everybody like. The fact that other people have X, Y, or Z or not is not going to affect your life. It's only going to affect your life if you chase those things, especially if you're not in a place financially where you can afford them. Overusing credit cards, just avoid it. It's probably the worst that you can accrue. And assuming you'll just save later. Don't get into the habit or this understanding of saving later. Make sure you start saving now, please. Later really never comes unless you start now. I don't know what to tell you. A quick framework of something that might be helpful. It's like, okay, well, you said a couple of things. You talked about tithing, you talked about leisure, you talked about needs, you talked about savings. So kind of a quick breakdown. I would say here's a easy 10, 20, 30, 40 rule. Again, first and foremost, 10% goes to giving. And I would say 20% to leisure is more than okay, right? You want to make sure you enjoy the blessings you have, the money you're making. So go out, travel, shop, just do it within your limits, right? In terms of the money that's coming in. So if you want to set aside around 20%, why not? That sounds more than fair. 30% goes to needs. Needs again could be anything from bills, car payments, house payments, whatever it might be, rent and all of that stuff. Those are your needs. You have them every single month, no matter what, you got to pay. 40%, I would say, goes to savings and investments. So that's both short-term and long-term investments. That's your emergency fund, and save for just kind of upcoming expenses, and then the future you want to build, which is your retirement. My opinion, this balanced kind of approach makes financial discipline sustainable. You're not cutting out joy, but you're prioritizing your future wisely. And then finally, things that we kind of covered: tithing first, lower your means, flush debt as quickly as possible, and build your emergency fund. Invest early, set clear goals, and then I would say follow this, or you can consider following this 10, 20, 30, 40 rule. Ultimately, I'll just leave you with this. Your 20s, in my opinion, aren't about just being rich. They're about being wise. So that goes for the opportunities you take. So if, for example, a job is offering you 10 to 20 $1,000 more, but you don't see the growth career wise, you don't see the upside, then you might want to consider not to necessarily taking the 10 to $20,000 more, as opposed to sticking it out and having that kind of career projection, or this maybe the job that might pay you a little less, that offers you a better future reward. So thinking about that in those ways can kind of set you up for, in my opinion, what would be a better future. And if you start today, your 30s, your 40s, 50s, I promise they'll thank you. So just leave you with that. Thanks for, again, tuning into the Calling Code with Mina Salib. Hit the subscribe button, share with a friend, drop your biggest financial goal in the comments, and let's keep growing. Remember, just be driven by excellence and led by faith. God bless.